Time for hot picks. Tech has been a hot trade, but in real estate, there are some strong connections to the technology sector. Zhang is a portfolio manager of global real estate at Cohen Steers and joins us to talk about some companies that bring those two worlds together. It's great to have you with us. You've had some interesting companies to tell us about today, so I'm going to jump right into them. Hudson Pacific Properties, HPP, is one company you've been watching for a while, and it does bring together these two worlds of real estate and tech. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
John, great to be here. Look, Hudson Pacific is a West Coast office company, and as we all know, during the pandemic, San Francisco had a tough time. Tech workers weren't coming back to the office. Tech companies were giving back space. So it's been a tough couple of years for office landlords in San Francisco. Now, Cohen Steers, we're REIT specialists. We've been investing in the REIT market for 35 years. So we have been pretty successful in that 35-year history of figuring out and calling that inflection point before the rest of the market. So we spend a lot of time traveling to the West Coast. We walk the market, we tour the buildings, we talk to the tenant. And look, San Francisco is a much more vibrant market today than it has been in a long time. And on top of that, tech companies are mandating return to office policies. Hiring has picked up significantly because of AI and the innovation that's been happening on the West Coast. And today we are seeing that inflection point. And more importantly, John, Cohen Steers has done a great job over the years. Great financial crisis. We call the bottom. We recap half of the REIT industry. And today we're calling the bottom on West Coast office. And we have the conviction to make a significant investment in Hudson Pacific to shore up their balance sheet and so that they are ready to be able to take share as the market turns.
All right, and that's great context. Beyond just real estate that might ultimately cater to the tech community, all of this tech theme around AI and building out data centers gets so much attention. But as you mentioned, your firm is all about real estate investing. Digital Realty is another company that you are tracking. How come?
So, John, it's so funny that you mentioned that because typically when people think about real estate, they think apartment buildings, they think office buildings, they think industrial buildings. They typically don't think that real estate has anything to do with AI. But Digital Realty, one of the top holdings across all of our strategies, it has everything to do with AI. Digital Realty is a data center company that provides the critical infrastructure, the building, the power and cooling that house the chips and servers that tech companies are using to build out their AI. So as we all know, data center demand is very strong. And power, there's simply not enough of it in major markets today. So what that means for Digital Realty is greater occupancy. They're able to charge more rent. And for us as investors, that's value creation for us and our clients.
All right. Now, speaking of big trends, aging demographics is something we talked about on the program earlier today. We talked to the CEO of a company that makes helpful equipment in the home if people are living longer lives or living at home longer. There are ways to think about aging populations in the REIT world as well. Welltower is one company you're continuing to track. Can you tell us a little bit more about the story there?
Sure, John, that's a great observation. And little interesting fun fact, Welltower is now an $100 billion company, and it has just become the largest REIT by market cap. And the reason why it has done well, and it's because the share price has done really well. And the reason why it's done well is because of simply supply and demand, a really good execution. Its CEO, Zhang has been with the company since 2016 and has done a fantastic job. And what Welltower has in the favor is, to your point, John, demand, right? We have aging baby boomers that are getting older, so there's a greater need for really, well-located, kind of great quality care in these senior housing facilities. But at the same time, when you think about higher construction costs, higher financing costs, we've been through a pandemic, so not a lot of people have been building senior housing facilities. So new construction is down almost 80% from the peak at a time when we're going to need it a lot over the next few years, over the next decade as a society. And that is a very favorable supply and demand dynamic for Welltower. Yeah. And on top of that, I mentioned execution, right? This is one of the areas where you really see that true competitive advantage between a REIT, a listed company, versus the private market. They have a sort of great operating platform. They have a great balance sheet. And Welltower has been able to buy up billions of dollars of properties from operators that don't have liquidity, that are undermanaged their facilities. They're buying these properties, they're improving the operation, they're improving the care for the elderly. And that has been a fantastic way to generate additional return. And that's been a really important growth engine as well for Welltower.
Yeah, and people familiar with the Canadian landscape know they did that big deal tied to Amica not too long ago. Gee, great to get your perspective. Thanks very much for sharing some of the stories in REITs that you're watching. Zhang joining